Hey, I love craft beers, you love craft beers, but let's be honest, among our group, there's a lot of snobs out there.
Yo, it's the best time of the year to be a beer drinker, Oktoberfest. We're not gonna wear any lederhosen, but we are gonna drink some Oktoberfest beer.
And later, you'll learn how malt is harvested the old-fashioned way.
I'm Glen Macnow, he's Joe Sixpack, and this is What's Brewing.
What's Brewing? Brought to you in part by Monco Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tours and Board. Download the app. Partial funding provided through a grant from the Pennsylvania Malt and Beverage Industry Board.
Hi, I'm Glen Macnow of WIP Radio. This is Joe Sixpack, preeminent beer authority in this here America. Did I get it right this week?
I think so.
Okay, I'm still waiting for the lederhosen. If you put those on, that'd be great. This is What's Brewing, which is a weekly show where Joe and I get to sit around and drink beer and talk to you about it. And we get paid to do this. It's the greatest gig in the world. Today, and many of our shows, we're at the beautiful Yards Brewing Tap Room in Northern Liberty. It's just a spectacular place.
It is a great place. Last week we talked to Tom Kehoe, the president here, showed us around a little bit, had a lot of great beer, and we're going to do it again this week here at Yards and enjoy some really fine beers.
We are, and we start with our beer swap, and this is one of the great things about craft beer is the seasonals, and one of the most important seasonals are Oktoberfest.
Yeah, Oktoberfest actually may even be the original seasonal beer if you think about it. It was a harvest style of beer from Europe, and we think about it as a German style beer. It's a lager, tends to be a little maltier, certainly maltier and a little bit fuller bodied than those typical bitter IPAs that everybody drinks. But for me, I love malt and I love to drink this kind of beer.
All right, so for the beer swap this week, I brought you really one of the legendary Oktoberfest, really I think one of the early starters in it, Sierra Nevada, out of California. This is their 2018 Oktoberfest, and I guess there's been, I don't want to say controversy, but some people think it may not live up to its greatness of past years.
Well, here's the thing. Every year, Sierra Nevada actually collaborates with a German brewery. It's not really been around that long because they are more of an ale brewery. And they've done some amazing collaborations, and I'm going to be honest with you, I drank this beer on draft. Maybe there was a problem with the draft lines when I had it earlier. I did not think it was up to par with the past ones. This one was made with Weihenstephaner, which is from Germany, the oldest brewery in the world.
All right, let's give it a shot. Cheers, here we go. I think it's perfectly inoffensive and not very special.
Yeah, I agree. It's not what it was before. I'm sorry, but it's just not what
right.
the level of beer was. So I brought one for you.
Sometimes when we try beers, we don't like them. We don't particularly like this one.
All right.
See you later.
I brought you Sly Fox Oktoberfest. It's one of the original local Oktoberfests. Originally came in a bottle, but now Sly Fox tends to do most of their beers in cans.
Hey, doesn't everybody?
Yeah, it is. So, but I think this might have been the first local Oktoberfest in a can, which is pretty cool. So let's try this one and see what you think of it.
Big fan of Sly Fox.
Out in Pottstown, PA.
Mm-hmm. Here's to you. All right. See, now that's got more going to it.
A little bit more body.
I can't say it overwhelms me.
So maybe Oktoberfest is not your style of beer?
I don't know. Tell me what defines an Oktoberfest.
Well, first of all, it's a malt-forward beer. It's
right.
a lager-style beer, but where they try to accentuate the malt a little bit more. American versions tend to be a little bit hoppier than the German ones, but that's always the case with American beers.
Right. I think I've been taken over by the IPA bug. I really do. I used to love a lager, and now I just go for the IPAs.
Yeah, I think that the kind of the big beer, people love those big strong flavors. They might sort of like shrug it at Oktoberfest, but to me, it's a sublime kind of beer. It's the kind of beer that was made for the fall, just as the air is starting to turn a little chilly.
Pretty nice.
You can sit down and enjoy it.
What else you got?
So we have a couple others that are from Pennsylvania here. The Yuengling Oktoberfest, they added this to their product line a few years ago. Pretty decent beer, I like it. And this actually might be one of the best known of all the locals, Fest beer from Victory. They're a German-style brewery. They specialize in lagers, and that's actually a year-round beer, I believe, and one of the best.
And there's going to be a lot more coming out over the course of the next weeks and months. It's a big deal. You have actually been to Oktoberfest in Munich. I have not. Is it like the greatest thing ever?
It is. Well, first of all, it was a totally, it was an academic research field trip.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Yeah.
Munich really knows how to throw a party. 6 million people show up in that place over 3 weeks. Munich's about the same size as Philadelphia, so imagine adding 6 million more people. It's a big fair, big tents the size of the Palestra.
Right.
I mean, it's really amazing.
Music,
pop bands.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of fun. And I will say that it is pretty much a drunken affair, partly because you're drinking your beer by the liter.
I'm in favor of this. Okay, so how about around here? Anything going on for Oktoberfest?
There are a number of Oktoberfests going on, and it's, some of them have already gone because, Oktoberfest sort of begins in September, but in October you'll still see some. There's one out in King of Prussia, their Beer Fest Royale, I think they call it. Not technically an Oktoberfest. If you want something a little bit more authentic, I suggest going to the one at the 23rd Street Armory, which I believe is in another week.
You can look at your phone, it doesn't matter.
Too late,
Look
it
at the
shut me
notes.
down.
Okay.
It's a fun weekend affair, and if you want to go a little bit further afield, I'd head out to Lancaster to Yorktoberfest, another fun event where you'll see a lot of Germans in that area as well, Pennsylvania Dutch,
Hey, coming up, we are going to take you not where they make the beer, but where they make the ingredients that make the beer. You'll see what we're talking about coming up next from the Yards Brewing tap room right here on What's Brewing.
Malt is an important ingredient in all beers, and recently we had the chance to see how malt is harvested.
My name is Mark Brault. I'm a co-founder and chief maltster at Deer Creek Malthouse, which is the first commercial malting operation in Pennsylvania since Prohibition. Malt contributes a lot of really important things to the brewing process. A source of modified carbohydrates, which are fuel for yeast to create alcohol, source of modified protein or soluble protein, free amino acids, which are also important for healthy yeast metabolism, as well as color and flavor. The first step in the malting process is to rehydrate the grain. We do that in our steep tank. We add the grain to the tank, we add some water, we fill it, we drain it, and we rehydrate the embryo, which is a living, breathing part of the grain, as well as all the enzymes that are hydrolytic and need water to function, that are going to convert carbohydrates into simple sugar. And once the germination process is started, we'll then take the grain out of the tank and spread it out on the floor. So we make malt the way that it was done for hundreds of years, on a cement slab in a very thin bed, and it really is the best way to control germination after you've steeped it. We'll take the grain off the floor and then put it into our kiln, and that's where we pull moisture out of the grain, stop the germination process, and then introduce unique colors and flavors depending on how we change the airflow and introduce temperature in our kiln. And the purpose of turning on the germination floor is to prevent matting. The rootlets will mat together. We want to redistribute heat and moisture and just create an even environment for all the kernels to germinate at the same rate and do the same thing at the same time. And it takes about 4 days typically to achieve modification that we're looking for the different types of grain that we malt. We primarily make malt with barley, wheat, and rye, but we also make malt with a variety of other small grains. And a lot of those grains grow really well in Pennsylvania, which is part of our ethos. So the realization that there was no local source of supply of malt in the Mid-Atlantic was surprising, and knew there was a lot of really high quality grain being grown in the area, and there was a lot of incredible brewers, bakers, and distillers in the area, and it seemed like there was an opportunity to create some high quality malt ingredients that we could supply to local food and beverage artisans. To do it well and to do it consistently, it really takes a lot of care and time and effort, and it's an art and a science. A big part of our testing process is actually brewing. We brew very small batches of beer. We look at color, flavor, filtration, extract, and try and characterize the malt best we can so that a brewer, a distiller, or a baker knows how to use that malt ingredient. We are brewers, and that's how we got interested in malting, so it's also something that we're passionate about, and brew some larger scale batches, still small relative to most brewers, but standing beside me are some 2-barrel fermenters that we use to make beer that is also part of our testing and characterization process, but also so we've got some beer to drink and share with customers and the community. We do a lot of special events. We served beer at opening tap this past year, the brewer's plate. The beer goes quick, so instead of doing the 5-gallon homebrew scale batches, we've started making some 2-barrel batches, so we have a little more beer to share with folks.
That's great, and Joe, it is so great to see just more parts of the industry doing well, more things going on.
They got a long road to hoe there because it's starting a new industry from the start.
It is a long road to hoe.
Exactly.
Indeed.
Good
There you
pun.
go.
Anyway, I applaud them. It's a lot of effort, but it's a great thing to see in Pennsylvania.
Okay, and there is a lot going on, including you got a new tally as to the number of breweries.
It's astonishing to me. The Brewers Association, which is the group that represents small brewers in America, came out recently and said that by 2019 there's going to be 7,000 separate breweries operating in America.
And you've been to every one.
It's just amazing. You can't. It's impossible to even get 10% of them. It's so incredible. I mean, consider that, as little as like maybe 35 years ago or so, there was fewer than 100 breweries in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, even just a few years ago, there was only a couple thousand.
All right, so I have always heard, oh, the bubble is going to burst, there's going to be too many, but I kind of think of it like restaurants in a sense that you can't have too many. I mean, the good ones will survive and the bad ones won't.
I agree, especially since most of these breweries are very small. They're not as big as Yards is here. They're not anywhere looking to be a regional brewery. They're looking to serve their local neighborhood. So yeah, if you're a good restaurant, you can survive, and I think it's the same with a good brewery, the same deal where you can, as long as you make good beer, people will come and you'll be able to continue your business.
All right, what else is going on? What other trends you got?
Well, one thing I wanted to point out, because we have viewers across the state, we have a lot of beer travelers who watch our show. Pittsburgh is really taking off for these new breweries, and I wanted to give a heads up that Pittsburgh now has, the Brewers Guild has produced a new brewery guide. It's available online, and you can also pick up hard copies at breweries, sort of a passport system. You go and get it stamped at each brewery. We'll put a link up on our Facebook page so people can check that thing out as well.
Good, very good. Yeah, we're going to be very active on social media. You'll always be able to find us there. Anything else happening?
Yeah, one last thing, and this is vital. Colorado brewers are now getting together because they're a little bit worried about water shortages. You know, water being the #1 ingredient in beer,
sure.
Climate change.
I love the way you pronounce it like a true Philadelphian too, man.
It's true. It's the only,
you do.
Anyway, it's the #1 ingredient, and there's a lot of concern that climate change is going to reduce supplies. They've had droughts out in the West, and the brewers out there are trying to come up with other ways to save water. So.
People, look, climate change is real. I don't want to get political, but if you need to find a reason to be concerned about it, if we run out of beer, what's the point?
Exactly.
All right, he's Joe Sixpack, I'm Glen Macnow. We're at the great Yards Brewing Tap Room in Northern Liberties, and coming up, we're gonna talk about those among us, you know them, the beer snobs, right here on What's Brewing. Hey, welcome back to What's Brewing. I'm Glen Macnow. This is Joe Sixpack, a weekly show where we get to sit around and drink beer and talk to you about it. Tell your friends. We'll be this time slot every week, and we want to hear from you. We'll get some ideas from you. We'll have a good time drinking beer and talking about beer. And one of the things, Joe, that we know about craft beer, as much as we love it, is there's a lot of snobbery involved in it. Not with you.
Unfortunately,
you've encountered it.
I agree. I tend to I shrug it off a lot, but I'll tell you what a beer snob isn't.
Yes.
A beer snob doesn't drink right out of the bottle.
There you go. Okay, so I found a list on a thing called Thrill List, which is pretty much what it says. They do a lot of goofy, fun lists. I follow the website. It's fun. And they did a thing on 19 kinds of beer snobs. We won't do all we won't do all 19. But I got
19.
a few. All right. And by the way, have you ever been accused of being a beer snub? Probably not. Not your
I
nature.
have. A couple times people said you shouldn't call yourself Joe Sixpack, but I do believe that beer is the man of the drink of the people. It's the perfect name for me.
All right, so here you go, and I like this. There's 19 types. We'll do 3 or 4. The one-upper. The one-upper is the guy's like, oh, you've got a good beer? Well, that's a fine beer, but I've got a better one, a much better one. You know that guy.
Yeah, all the time. And you see it a lot of times at parties where everybody shows up with a six-pack and they want to show off.
Okay, well, his very close relative is the Captain Ahab beer snub, which is... He almost scored that rare vanilla bean assassin back in 2014. Right. He's been hunting the white whale ever since. He probably doesn't have a peg leg, but he definitely talks about his hunt for the elusive beer.
Well, that's an actual known thing in beer circles. You're looking for Moby Dick. I mean, that is the beer that you can never get your hands on, but once you do, boy, you can claim victory, I guess.
All right, how about the Speculator? Probably works in finance to begin with. Definitely got into beer a couple years ago after the trend had peaked, but had enough money to put together an enviable beer cellar.
Like a portfolio.
Yes.
Oh, man.
And by the way, he's always a terrible tipper.
Oh, yeah, of course. I do cellar some of my beers and hold on to them because they're meant to be cellared, but, to me, well, because, some beers actually taste different as you let them age a little bit.
I had one, was it Thomas Hardy, the British one?
That's the classic.
That I kept for about 7 years.
Barley wines are great for aging, so I can see that a little bit, so maybe I have a little bit of snobbiness there in me. I'm sorry.
All right, 1 or 2 more. The glassware obsessive, and this is where I know I'm a dummy, because I'll drink beer out of a Yogi Bear cup. I don't care what I'm drinking out of. But the guy who says, oh, that's a funny joke that you're pouring that double IPA into a Pilsner glass. Oh my God, don't do that. You know that guy.
I absolutely do. And I do have a lot of different glasses in my home, but I tend to sort of stick to the same. I don't care. As long as it's clean, really.
Right, a mason jar works for me. What do I care? And finally, the self-important home brewer. And we love home brewers, and we'll talk about them, have some on the show. But the guy who's going to second guess any beer that he's consuming with talk of hop varieties and bottle conditioning, and he definitely made a better one than you, and in fact he made one mediocre pale ale once.
Home brewers are, in my opinion, the most enthusiastic of all beer enthusiasts. They are people that support this industry, and they are really, if you talk to professional brewers, they all began as home brewers, but the thing that really drives professionals up a wall is when a home brewer comes in and tells that brewer how they should have made that beer, and that's just not right.
All right, last one, the Condescender. And there are different beers for different times and different moments, and maybe if you're tailgating and you're going to a ball game, right, you don't want to drink an 8.7 DIPA there, right? You want to take it easy. But the Condescender will get on your case if you happen to be drinking just some regular beer bought at the beer store. You know that guy too.
I know. To me, the best beer is
Likes to correct your grammar too.
of course. The best beer is the one in my hand, and don't get on my case just because it's not your favorite beer.
That's right. And this is the beer in my hand right now, which I'm enjoying quite a bit. He's Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Mack. Now we're at the Yards Brewing Company, and this is What's Brewing. Welcome back to What's Brewing with Joe Sixpack. I'm Glen Mack. Now we hope you enjoy our new show. We'll be here every week right at this time slot, and today we're at Yards Tap Room in Northern Liberty. It's just a great place. One of the things we're going to do on this show, Joe, is we're going to show off new products. Some of them good, some of them may not work that well, and today I brought tailgate gloves. Because if you're tailgating at the football game this year, you need the gloves. Now, these babies come from a company called Stonebreaker out of Ardmore, right?
All right.
$29.99 for a pair on Amazon. What would help if I had two of the same? Anyway, if you want to be, this is what they say, if you want to be the king of the tailgate, you need to man the hot grill and crack cold beers. How about a glove that does both? So it's kind of heat proof, and it comes with a little opener right on it.
That's pretty cool.
So what you do is you just take it right here, you put it on your beer, and should be easier than that. Hold on, that's on me. There you go, opens. Piece of cake, why don't you try?
Well, unless I use my teeth.
Hold on, I gave you the wrong hand.
All right, let me try it
The lefty
here.
doesn't have it. I did a poor job with that. Let me show you. It's easier than that. Boom. There you go. Everybody, enjoy a beer.
I'm just going to drink mine, okay, Glenn?
No, open it, try it. Come on, man, that's a good thing. 100% leather shell can work. And by the way, I found a review. You got to pull toward you. There you
All right,
go.
hey, I did it better than you.
Okay, good stuff. I found a review on Amazon from a guy who said, I am a professional blacksmith, and these gloves were purchased for my demo season. It's the best blacksmithing glove I've ever had. So I don't know if you need them for the tailgate or not. They're kind of cool, but maybe a little goofy. But if you're a blacksmith, they're perfect.
Yeah, poor horse if you've been drinking a few after trying to nail this.
Anyway, good stuff. These are the tailgate gloves from Stonebreaker. What do we got coming up?
Well, we've got Sierra next, and she's going to give us a little bit more of a look here at the Yards Tap Room.
Thanks, Joe. I'm here with Ron at the Yards Brewing Company, and we're going to talk a little bit about his dream job working here, a lot of people's dream job. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I got involved with Yards about 10 years ago. I started out doing some volunteer work, eventually parlayed itself to a full-time position. Started out as a chef at the last location, and then now I manage all the taproom beer, retail beer, and I do tours and all sorts of other strange and weird adventures around here.
Wow, so you know it all.
A couple things.
And what should someone expect when they come here? What are some things that they can do?
First of all, killer beer. Friendly people, a lot of really knowledgeable employees. We don't let you out here unless you're really dedicated to it. We used to make everybody do a day on the bottling line just to make sure you were into this. If you're not going to do the hardest, most unrewarding job here, we don't really want you around. So it's really nice. Tom and Trevor, our CEO and our owner, treat us incredibly well, and they really let us to put that kind of family vibe out there and really welcome everybody in when they come in here.
Cool. And so this is the tap room where we're at.
Correct.
And there's a lot of events that can go on here. You can even get married here, which is pretty cool.
Besides this tap room that we have downstairs, we also have a small game room over there. We have a 100-year-old pool table, a shuffleboard table, so you can kind of hang out there and duck low. Or upstairs, we have a special event space in our mezzanine, which can accommodate from 150 to 200 people, depending on the size of your event. Also have a ping pong table up there if you really want to throw down. Some of the guys from the office like to spend too much time up there, but that's a whole other animal.
Okay. And you have an outdoor space as well?
Yeah, we have an outdoor seating area. Unfortunately, it's been wet, but yeah, we have a couple tables out there directly under our hot liquor tank, which is the water for making the beer, and our 2 bright tanks that are outside. That's the tanks we use to store the beer before it's packaged.
Okay, cool. And so you guys have been here just about a year now?
Yeah, coming in November. November 16th, we officially opened the tap room, and that was only 5 days after closing the old tasting room.
Okay.
In those 5 days, we went from having 70 employees to close to 140.
Wow.
Yeah, we really bumped it up a notch, and I'd honestly say most of those new employees, I'd say about 85% of them are still here. They really did a good job screening everybody, getting the right people in here to really promote Yards and keep it going the way it has been.
And why did you pick this location over?
It's close. We were really happy with the neighborhood. We do a lot of community stuff. They wanted us to go to Navy Yard. Camden was really wanting us to come over there, but we really like the vibe. Also, moving things 6 blocks instead of several miles was a little bit easier.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other things that went into it Tom and Trevor would know more about, but that's not my department. I'm just the entertainment.
Well, Northern Liberties is a great area.
No, it's not bad.
Yeah, seems very community involved. Okay. And then just like a quick sneak peek into the tours. You give tours here. What are some things we would
Tours
know?
are fantastic. Yeah, come in, you get a free sample of beer. You come in the back with me or one of our other fantastic tour guides. We have 7 or 8 of us now. You get a free beer while you're back there, walk around, learn about the history of Yards, and then go through the entire brewing process from start to finish, including packaging. It's really awesome. Get a sneak peek at our brand new canning line, our brand new state-of-the-art brew house. There's only 3 of them in the United States. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah, sounds amazing.
It usually goes about 45 minutes. I get real nerdy with it, so it goes a little bit longer sometimes. So.
Cool. I'll have to check it out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Please do. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll toss it back to you guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, Sierra. That was great, and they are doing so many good things here at Yards Joe Six-Pack. It's really something. One of the things that we're going to be doing here on What's Brewing over the course of the next few months is a brew down of the best Pennsylvania IPAs. We set up all of these brackets. You did the work, and each week we're going to put them on social media, and we're going to have the vote and the results, and you've got one of the winners today.
We are. We're still in the first round here, and we had a face-off between Trogue's Nimble Giant.
Good beer.
Yes, and Stout's Gear Shifter, which is a new product of theirs.
2 of my favorites, man.
And so,
there's no loser among them.
well, I don't think there ever is when we're talking about beer, but this week we can report that the Trogue's Nimble Giant won, and we'll move on to the next round.
Fine work by them, fine work by their supporters. And if you want to follow us, by the way, you can always follow me on Twitter at RealGlenMac now.
And I'm on Twitter at Beer Radar and PhillyBeerWorld.com. And of course, look for us on Facebook, What's Brewing PA.
Right. So we're going to be traveling around. As we said, we're at Yards today. We're going to visit a lot of different haunts. We could end up at your house, in your den. Just invite us. If you got a couple of beers, we're always willing to travel to find them, right? Because we know how to enjoy beer.
Of course, I mean, that's the whole nature of a beer drinker. We will go where the beer is.
That's exactly right. We hope you enjoy this show. We will be doing this for a while. We hope for years to come. But we thank you for watching, and we look forward to talking to you next week and sharing a few beers. Let's hold one as I do this on What's Brewing.
What's Brewing? Brought to you in part by Manco Makers, powered by the Valley Forge Tourism Board. Download the app. Partial funding provided through a grant from the Pennsylvania Malt and Beverage Industry Board.